We are honored to have with us today Ann McGurty, who will be presenting the life cycle of file management and also what she calls a reality webinar, demonstrating how to index your items into PaperTiger, working through her inbox as well as answering questions that have been asked during your webinar registrations and throughout today's call. Because we know that there are different levels of PaperTiger users on the call, we will be covering the basics for those that are new and then lean toward more advanced functions, and we'll try to cover as much as possible within the hour allotted. Of course, it is impossible to give every detail and address every workflow issue in a 1-hour webinar. The custom details are what you need Ann's services for, and later today she will be giving you details on a special she has available for you. Now let me tell you a little bit about Ann McGurty. She is CEO and founder of Strategize and Organize. Ann is a professional speaker, productivity and organizational coach, and author. Ann shows people how to work more effectively with less effort. Her entrepreneurial upbringing and corporate background mesh with her experience to get results for her clients. Ann's company, Strategize and Organize, improves productivity for individuals as well as organizations of all sizes and within all industries. She is the author of the book Lost in Your Own Office and a contributing author to Speaking Your Truth, Courageous Stories from Inspiring Women, Volume 2. If you want to learn more about Ann and her services, please visit her website at www.strategizandorganize.com. She may be in Colorado, but she's nationally recognized as an expert and works with people in person and virtually throughout the U.S. to customize a system to help make their lives more productive and organized. If you do not already have PaperTiger, you can purchase from Ann's affiliate link, which I will copy into the chat section for you to pick up, and I will also be pasting her contact information in this chat section. Just to let you know, we've extended the sale through today, so you'll be able to get that sale anytime today through Ann's affiliate link. And that
Excellent.
sale is 20% off. I'm sorry, Ann?
Excellent.
Ah, yeah. Since we provide these webinars to you for free, this will help offset Ann's time. Ann, thank you so much for your time and dedication to teaching others how to use PaperTiger more effectively and productivity. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Janet. And thank you all of you who are on the call today. I don't know where you are, but I'll tell you, here in Denver, it's 25 degrees and snowing out. And according to the Weather Channel, it says that the real feel is 14 degrees. So it is a cold day here. And you know, yeah, I get excited when I come to the office because on the days that I do the webinars, I'm excited to share with people about what they can do with getting organized with the PaperTiger. I know that might seem a little crazy to some people, but my life has changed as a result of being organized with my paper. And I have had the great success and opportunity to work with a lot of you on helping you organize your offices by using the PaperTiger system. When I look at the statistics of the people who are on the call today, we have 48 people who've registered, and half of you say that you are using the PaperTiger. I hope by the end of this call that the other half of you will see why the PaperTiger will quickly and easily help you get organized and improve the quality of your workflow by using the PaperTiger. For the other people who are using it and who are having challenges, please take advantage of the chat section in your screen so that we can address any questions you have to what might be holding you up from using the PaperTiger. You have a tremendous tool here, and my goal is to help you get excited about using it and see the value so that you start using it immediately. Right now, what you have is you're looking at my screen here of what it looked like after I logged in. And I'm going to log off, though, because I want to, for those of you who don't have the paper tiger yet, I'm going to show you what it looks like when you first get your account set up. If you do not have the paper tiger yet, go ahead and use my affiliate link and sign up for it and get your own account. And when you have your own account, you are going to have a link that looks like this, an HTTPS, a secured web link, to the app for the paper tiger. And when you sign in, you will have your own email address that you would choose to use, and you will have a password that you can use to log into your private account. Okay, then once you get into the account, what happens, the terminology with the paper tiger is to help you start thinking about your file systems, your files in your office. So say, for instance, you are at your office and you have piles of paper all over your desk, and sometimes even on the floor, or you have drawers already packed with files. Well, with the paper tiger, what you're going to do is you're going to start by creating a database. And you create a database by what is the name of what you call those files that you're going to be working with. And say, for instance, this was Janet at the Monticello Company creating their initial file system. And what you would call it is the Monticello files. So that would be the name of the database. So you're creating a new database. Now what you're going to see is in the paper tiger online, you have the option of creating multiple databases. And why would you have multiple databases? Well, you can have a database for your office, and you can also have a database for your home, and you may have another database that is privately for a home business that you have that is unrelated to your personal files, and maybe you don't want to have connected with your personal files. Once you've set up your database, you are going to go into that database, and I'm going to use my sample of the Paper Tiger webinar database. When you're using the Paper Tiger, the concept of, the methodology of filing is helping you focus on what's important. And there's three major categories for most people. We find that people have action files, and action files are current files for ongoing projects or activities that you might be engaged in at this time that will come to an end. For example, an action item might be an event you're going to on December 20th, and it might be the December networking meeting. So what you're going to do is you create that's a file that's going to be temporary for everything that you're going to bring to that meeting with you, or notes that you want to keep on regarding that meeting. But on the end of the meeting, it's no longer going to need to be taking up a file space within your action drawer. So that's an action that's temporary. Another action that may be ongoing might be a file for your bills to pay. That's something will stay there permanently in that drawer. So I'm going to go through that in a little bit more detail in a minute. I want to go through the other locations. The next location are archive files. I was talking to a woman the other day, and she was telling me about what her file drawers look like. And I want to give you an idea. This is a woman out of state, and I work as a virtual coach with people and can help them organize their files and get the Paper Tiger system even if I'm not in their office. She was describing to me how the bottom drawer of her file cabinet in her office was full of files that were old, and she hadn't referred to them in a couple of years. And those are really considered archive files. Those are files that are important to save. However, it's not imperative that they stay in your immediate office space. so that you can take those files and put them into an off-site storage area or a basement or an attic or some other place where it's not completely in your way. With the Paper Tiger, you will be able to find it, so you won't have that out-of-sight, out-of-mind issue anymore. The third location is the reference location. Now, reference is what most people, I find, is what they refer to all their files. Let's look at it differently, though. Reference files are files that are not used frequently, but they're still important for them to be handy. A reference file may be your taxes just from last year. You still want them handy, but you don't want them necessarily in your action files anymore because they're past. An archive would be just a little bit too inconvenient if you needed to find them. Another reference file might be something that is maybe your passport or your birth certificate, something that you want close by, and in that case, if you keep those type of files, you would want to make sure that drawer is locked. Where you keep your reference files, as I said, are close to your office, and it's okay if you have to get up and move to get to them because it's something you're not going to be doing daily, weekly, or even monthly. All right, so now that we have your three basic locations, you may be wondering, how did I set those up? In the Paper Tiger database, you start out by creating a location. And what we can do here is we set up a new location, and I'm going to call this, say, Action 2. Well, Action, let's see, Action Sample, because we're using it for the webinar. And again, the description is, when you set up the location, is describe the right-hand drawer in Anne's office. The reason we do that is that when you're using the Paper Tiger, it's about collaborating with others so other people can find files when they need them. Too many times people say, I don't need to get organized because I know exactly where everything is. But the problem is that if someone else needs that paperwork or file, they can't find it. And that's where it's costing you time and money. So identifying where the file is will guide someone later down the line. The action file drawers typically are for, as I said, how many projects you may have ongoing. I worked with a client literally just yesterday, and we set up his action files, and he had 27 folders in his action drawer. That means he had 27 projects. So let's put a capacity of 30 items and add this location. And as you can see, it now added action items to the list of locations. Now when you're going through your file desktop, your desk with all your papers that you want to file, you're going to be thinking about action and reference, and then separate those that are going to be archived. So the next location you're going to want to set up is going to be reference. So we're going to go ahead and make a location called reference sample, and we're going to say these are located in the conference room. Files are locked. The capacity is usually much more than action files because you're keeping your majority of files in that area. So let's go ahead and make 200 files. We're going to go ahead and add this location. And then lastly, we're going to use the archive. And these are located in the spare office on the second floor. Capacity, we might have another 200 in there. It's go ahead and we're going to add this location. So now you'll see I have some duplicates, but you'll also see that that's just to make this a little bit easier for you to review here today. When we're setting up the action, your files, what we're going to do is we're going to go into that drawer. Oh, I'm going to stop for a second. Once you set up the actual locations, with the paper tiger, what you're going to want to do is then set up your supplies. Part of the reason people don't file is it's too much work to set up the actual hanging file folders, write out the tabs, and then put the tabs in, or they can't find the supplies. So the thought process and the workflow with the paper tiger is to do the work first. And what you have here is something called the print tabs and labels. And what you're going to do is you are going to be able to use the program that's already in the paper tiger that is coordinated with Avery file folders. And you will prepare yourself labels that you can put on the stock labels that come with Pendaflex hanging file folders. Since you're starting out for your new process of filing here, you're going to print out files for all of the locations that you have set up. Now I'm going to choose the original action files, the original reference files, and the archive. I'm not going to put numbers in there because you don't want to use hanging file folders with that. We'll discuss that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and generate the tabs and labels for your file folders. So what you're going to see here is the paper tiger has now created a PDF form that is to be printed on the Avery, and in this case I chose the Avery file folder, Avery file labels 5167. And that's, I want to say it's about 80 file stickers of file tabs for 1 through, and it would be 80 if you were to print out the whole sheet. And then you take this sheet and you stick it on the card stock labels that come in the index tabs for your Pendaflex hanging file folders, and then you set up that initial action file drawer. And as you can see, we've got 4 pages, okay, and there's the reference labels. Now, as you can see here, my font is too big for how it's going to appear on that label, so you can go back and correct the word that you put on there to maybe make it a shorter word, or you can just change the font so that it doesn't take up all that space so it doesn't look that funky on the label. All right, so once you have the labels generated, then what you can do is then you print them and you get your drawers set up. And then you're ready to start filing. All right, so let's say you were in your action drawer. Now when you're going through the paperwork that's on the top of your desk, you may see that you have a couple of receipts for 2011 taxes. Now, one of the comments that I received from one of the participants today on the webinar is they indicated that naming and titling items is a challenge. So you come across, for instance, a tax item. So say, for instance, what I have is a charitable receipt, and maybe another word to say is this is a goodwill donation or ARC donation form. So even if you didn't know what to name that file, you still have it included in the keywords, so that when you have all the keywords that are related to that piece of information, you will be able to find it later. I'll give you an example. Let's change, let's go back to another area. So say we're in the reference area, or we're in no particular area. you've just logged into the Paper Tiger, and you are looking for 2011 tax information, and you are looking for your donation, your charity information. So you can't remember the name of the file that you called it, but you are looking for your charity receipts. You type in the keyword charity, can't find it. Type in the word donation. Ah, here it is. It was in action number 1. But I want to edit it and update it and add the word charity, because that was a word that I thought of when I was referring to that file at a later date. So the Paper Tiger gives you the ability to update the name of the file and to include all those thoughts that you might have, so that you can find it without having to remember exactly what you named the folder. Where this also comes in handy is that when you're working with others, naturally it makes sense that you want to make it convenient for them as well. So the more words that you use in the keywords, the easier it is for other people to find that information as well. As an organizer, I find that working with another person, so that if you're hesitating on getting started with the Paper Tiger, it may be really helpful to work with someone to help you setting up your keywords, because they'll help trigger thoughts of other words that they may refer to when referring to a file. I often find that people have just kind of a blank look on their face saying, well, it's taxes. Well, by adding all these other words in our time together, even if it's a virtual time together, they get a very thorough description of all their files. Okay, so let's go back to the action drawer. So I'm going to click on action, and now we're in the action drawer, and what I'm doing is I'm looking through the pieces of paper that might be on my desk, and I am adding them into my database. Okay, I'm coming across a piece of paper here, and what I have is it's a phone bill discrepancy. And this is something where I am working with the telephone company on figuring out how to get this pricing error accomplished. So what we're going to say is we're going to say phone company dispute. Actually, let's type in the word phone and see if we have anything regarding the phone company. Well, the only file I have with the word phone in it is regarding a webinar, so that's not the file I'm looking for. So I'm going to go into the location of action. I'm going to create a new action file, and we're going to call it phone company dispute. And what we're going to do is we're going to put in keywords of what I'm going to put in that file. And we're going to say copies of bills, notes on phone conversations, business cards of individuals from ABC Phone Company. All right, so you can see that everything I have referring to that file dispute is going to be in my action drawer, and I'm going to add it to my action file drawer. Now, one of the things that we came across as we were inputting that was there was a field called action date. And I'm going to go ahead in there and look at that again. When you're inputting an item, we have what are called action dates. And say, for instance, you really need to get this accomplished by the end of the year. And you want to make sure that you follow up with them and document that you've spoken with them. So you put in December 12th as an action date that you're going to follow up on that file. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of my Paper Tiger, because I want to show you what happens when you put in an action date. Oh, actually, the date's too soon. there's a horizon on here that when you open up your files, anywhere from 1 to 7 days, when you open up the file of the Paper Tiger online, it will pop up and say you have a reminder of a file to refer to. So it will trigger you to know, kind of like an Outlook, that it'll remind you that you have an appointment. It will remind you that you need to look at this file. And as I was mentioning, this is something where in the due date, we might want to put in a note, say call representative to document your follow-up, and get the confirmation of status. So you can use the notes section in the Paper Tiger to indicate what your next step is supposed to be and why you put that action date in there. All right, so now you have started setting up activities of files that are in your action drawer. So let's go to your reference drawer. In your reference drawer, the type of things that you might want to keep in there, I always tell people who I work with to make reference file number 1 your organizing file, because that way you know where all your notes are and any backup materials or even file reports for your Paper Tiger, which I'll cover in just a minute. You will have other major files that most people have, for instance, might be car file. Now, if you think about cars, people are always saying, well, is it the auto file? Is it the car file? It doesn't matter what you name the file, as long as you add the keywords that help you find information regarding that file into the keywords. So as you can see, I have the registration form in there. I have DMV information, my oil change receipts. I put the word vehicle in here because not everyone refers to their car file as a car file. They may refer to it as vehicle, or they may refer to it as Ford, or they may refer to it as Jeep, or Ann's car. Everyone's got their own way of describing what that file is. Another one I just thought of was auto. So go ahead and we'll save those changes. So again, no matter what word you use, when you go to search for a file, you will see that you will find it based on the keywords that you put in there. And again, if you forgot to put in there, say for instance it was a Cherokee, oops, you can't find it. So then you go ahead and put in car again and say, ah, there it is, it's in there. And we better add the keyword Cherokee in there, so that in the future, if somebody else just is referring to the car as a Cherokee, it can easily be found. Now, after you set up your day of the Paper Tiger, getting it set up initially, now the concern often is, it's now out of sight, I'm scared it's out of mind, and I'll never be able to find it. The Paper Tiger has a reporting function, so that you can find everything that you have just created. There is a feature in there called the item list report. In the item list report, you can identify all of the areas that you've just set up, and we're going to use the action and the reference, and we are going to generate an item list report of everything that we have inventoried in those 2 locations. Once you have this physical inventory, whether you have access to your computer or not, you can quickly and easily glance at this report to identify where you put those files. Now, as you're going to see, the Paper Tiger refers to files in a chronological way. It might be easier for you to refer to this report alphabetically. You can do that by sorting it by item name, and you will see that now your files are in alphabetical order. Another way that this is handy is that when you are working in a large office environment, or even if you are organizing someone else's files, you can go through the process of setting up what you believe are the action files and what you believe are the reference files and any other locations that you might set up. And then you can go ahead and create what we call a clean out report. In a clean out report, you would take whatever locations you want to refer to, and I often recommend that you do maybe an item name so that they're an alphabetical listing when you're doing a clean out. Generate the report, and now give a report to someone and say, I just set up all your files, and since you're going to be referring to them mostly, it makes sense for you to review them and tell me what you want to do with them. Do you want to review them so you can see if you really need to keep them? Do you want to go ahead and toss them? Or maybe transfer this to, and it could be an archive, it could be the reference, or you can indicate to do nothing. Once you have this report, you have some manageable information to take your files to the next step. I recommend that clients, at the minimum, refer to this clean-out report annually. And ideally, it's usually in December, where we start preparing for the end of the year. And at the end of the year, you can now make room for the new year by having cleared out files. As I say that, I'm going to mention that many of you know you want to get digital. And the only way to get digital is to have a thought process in mind to how to find files. With the Paper Tiger, I guarantee you that you will start thinking differently about how you organize your files. And when you have the basics in place with having the Paper Tiger oh, I beg your pardon. Hang on, I just lost myself. Sorry, when you set up your system in the Paper Tiger, what happens is that you will naturally start thinking about how to be organized with all of your files. And when you have them physically organized, then the process of going paperless will be that much easier because your mind is already thinking about an architecture that makes sense for not only filing it, but making it easily retrievable. I'm going to stop for a second here, Janet, and see if you have any questions that have come in of anything that we want to go over.
Okay, sure. We had one question that said, I have an older version of Paper Tiger, which was basic version 3, and wanted to know about upgrading. Would she be able to convert her database? If you decide to stay with the database, or excuse me, the desktop version of Paper Tiger, you would be able to convert that database to version 4. And if you decide to switch to Paper Tiger Online, in which Anne is showing you today, you will be able to import that database into Paper Tiger Online. A follow-up question to that is, can I switch my Paper Tiger files from a PC to my new MacBook Pro? And the issue with this is that the desktop version is a Windows-only program. So if you wanted Paper Tiger that that is not web-based, then you would need to install Paper Tiger desktop version on a virtual Windows program for the Mac, such as Parallels. However, if you decided to switch to Paper Tiger Online, it works on any computer with an internet access, including Mac, and the browsers supported are, of course, Firefox 3 and newer, Safari 3 and newer, Google Chrome 4 and newer, and Internet Explorer 7 and newer. And that's all I have.
Okay, and I have some other questions here that came in, and one of them was that they want to have the CDs but haven't gotten the grip on how to use the program. You know, I don't think Janet mentioned it, but I give a free 30-minute consultation to people who have attended this webinar. And it's not a sales pitch, it's actually a working time to help you figure out how to get your Paper Tiger working. And if you haven't bought the Paper Tiger yet, I will happily discuss with you how it can work for your situation and how you use your files. I've worked with hundreds of people over the last 10 years, and rarely has there been a situation where the Paper Tiger doesn't work. Actually, it hasn't been a situation where it doesn't work. Anyone who uses it will be guaranteed able to file things and find them. And I just absolutely guarantee it because it works. So if you have got the program and you're not using it, it is functional, or even if it's not, let's get it going, and I'll be happy to do that in 30 minutes. I'm also going to throw a pitch in here, though, that I also do offer a virtual training program, a virtual coaching program. As Janet said, I don't get paid for these webinars. I do this for free because I want to help people learn about the Paper Tiger, and it is a program that many people can do on their own. However, if you would like the support and accountability of working with a coach, I would love to do that with you, and I offer a very inexpensive program for people for 4 weeks, guaranteeing that you will get your Paper Tiger system set up during that time. And I am running a special today that I am including in a copy of actually both my books for anyone who signs up by the end of today, that you will have your own Lost in Your Own Office book, and also my other book, which is a personal story that may be a gift to someone that you'd like to give to for the holidays. Okay, that's just a little plug, but I do want to help you. Again, do have the free 30 minutes available, so email me right after this call so that I can get you scheduled for your coaching for the month of December. Another question was, recently want to look at how do you organize something other than paper? That is such a great question. That comes up fairly often, and what you do is if you are setting up for something other than paper, what you do is you create a new location. And the new location would be for what you are trying to organize. So it could be CDs. And the description is the business CDs and DVDs located in supply closet. And the capacity may be 100. So what you do is you go ahead, you add the location, and now you have a new location called CDs. And again, you can print labels or tabs for your CDs, and you can use whatever size file folder label that you would like for CDs. And since again these are the Avery file folder labels, you can just sticker these on the covers of the CDs, or use like a album where you insert the individual CDs and just put the stickers on the plastic covering of those albums. So you go ahead and you print the labels, and you'll see it says CDs 1, CDs 2, and again, what you name the file location is the name that's going to appear on the label. So you can put something in there that you want printed on the label, and then you're ready to go. I'm going to go back to the location because I want to point something out there. You can then edit this and just call it CD, just CD. Go to the label, go to the labels, go to CD, print the label, show the labels, and you'll see that it's cleaner where it just says CD1, CD2. The format that I used here is self-cut labels, where you just use a regular piece of paper that you print off your printer, and you can just stick that into the insert tab label. But in the case of CDs, you're going to want stickers. It'll probably be a lot easier. Okay, so once you have that set up, you can go back to your PaperTiger database, go into the CD location, and start inventorying what CDs you have. And I'll go ahead, it might be PaperTiger. And the keywords is maybe Monticello, filing software. Add that to CDs, and now you know where that CD is. Another one is you might have your Microsoft XP operating system, and we'll say that this may be the original disk for my computer. You want to make sure you have all of those. You got a CD for your ScanSnap scanner. And it will say, so you say scanner CD, scanner installation CD. And go ahead and add it. So now what you know is that all of your CDs, I'm going to go back there for a second, are the business CDs and DVDs located in Supply Closet. So if your computer crashes and you want to find that original operating system CD, you know where it is. And you're thinking, well, Anne, the computer crashed. How am I going to find it? Well, if you have the PaperTiger online version, you can access from any computer or your smartphone by going to the website appthepapertiger.com and find your PaperTiger database. If you have the desktop version, it will be a little trickier. Now, for those of you who do have the PaperTiger desktop, I highly recommend that you back up your information, and there's a function, call me on that free 30-minute consultation, and we'll go through how you can back it up into an Excel spreadsheet so that you have it available on an Excel spreadsheet. And again, you can upload that to your smartphone so that you have the backup that way. It's a little bit more cumbersome. Again, another benefit of using the PaperTiger online because it's easily accessible from anywhere. Okay, so other items other than CDs. Another one is, say, for instance, you're moving. What a great opportunity to use the PaperTiger. Whether you're in an office or in a house and you're going to move, what you're going to do is you're going to create storage boxes. So we're going to say storage box, and you mark the box 1. And the description is, these may be in the storage closet at the annex, wherever you may want to say it is. And you may say that there's 20 items in that storage box. So say you were moving and you wanted to put everything into a storage box for a little bit, and you might add in there that this includes, you can just say stapler. You can go through and say, this is your my fun magic markers. You can add in there that this is your pet rock. People have got some trivial stuff that they keep in their offices. This may be your designation certificates. As you can see, what's happening now is you are filling a storage box that you have labeled number 1 on the outside, and no matter what you threw in there, whether they belong together or not, you're going to still be able to find them because you documented them in your PaperTiger where they were. So once you have that done, you can again, what I like to do with people when they're moving is then they they print out a file report for everything that's in that storage box. And it doesn't really matter whether it's item name or number because you'll be able to glance at it quickly. Go ahead and generate a report. And then once you have that report, it's not only in your Paper Tiger database, but I would print that out and tape that to the top or the side or everywhere on this box so you can see it from the outside as well. So those are some other ways you can use the Paper Tiger other than just with paper. Okay, so I'm going to look at some other questions I might have. Okay, so you have the Paper Tiger. I'm going to look at when you were doing the file cleanout report that we talked about earlier. So say, for instance, in the file cleanout report, you were looking at all the files in your action drawer. Well, say, for instance, we're coming upon 2011, and at the end of the year, all of these tax information is no longer going to be needed. And say we're looking at April or May, and you filed your taxes, and they are now complete. You no longer need to be using your action file number 1 for your 2011 taxes. So you are going to choose that item, you are going to transfer it, and you are going to move that file to a new location. The location is now going to be your reference drawer, and we're going to say we do not want to be reminded of a confirmation, and I'll go over that in another way as well. We're going to go ahead and move this item to the reference drawer. You're going to see how it's no longer an action area. I'm going to search the word tax and see that it has been moved to reference 4, the 2011, with all the keywords that we had used before. Now I want to identify, though, that every keyword is there, and it picked up the next available number in the reference drawer so that you knew that you just moved it to that area. When you were making that transfer, remember I said to you, well, is there a possibility, when I said to you that there was a question as to whether you wanted a confirmation. So say, for instance, I'm done with the telephone webinar. I want to transfer that now to reference. I'm going to move it. We're going to move it to reference. And it's saying, I want to be reminded of this confirmation. Well, if you're in a really busy workspace and you're being interrupted a lot right now, and you may not get to actually moving it from the action files to the reference files right this second, you might want to have a confirmation of that as a reminder of where you put it. And what you're going to see is that it's pending out for transfer. So if you physically don't get to it right this second, you will be able to know that it's pending in action 4 to be moved over to transfer pending. And the transfer pending is to reference 5. Now this is particularly helpful, as I said, if you're in a really busy and highly interrupted area, because once you moved it, you no longer know where it was. So let's go ahead and confirm it. Go ahead and confirm that it's been moved. And then what happens is when you type in webinar, if you got interrupted in between that transfer time, you wouldn't remember where it was that you moved it from. So if you have 1,000 files that you're moving from one area to another, having this extra step can be a real security blanket in getting the job done right. Well, those are just yes?
I was just going to say also when you require confirmation, you can print out a transfer report.
That's right.
There.
Okay. Let's go through.
That will allow you to check that off.
Okay, the transfer report, I don't have anything to transfer, so let's do another one. So we'll go into my action drawer. We're going to go ahead and transfer this, the travel file. We're going to move that. over to the reference files. Okay, we've got it pending. I'm going to do a report. So say we spent all day just looking through all our reference files, and we wanted a list of everything that we said we're going to transfer. Here is a list of everything we're going to transfer. So you may physically make this decision and go in the Paper Tiger and indicate that action, but now you can delegate it from someone. Take everything from action 3, move it in reference 6, and you can have pages of these that you can make that executive decision of what to do with your files and give it to someone to actually do the physical filing for you. So Paper Tiger really has a way of not only keeping you organized, but empowering you to take action on items that need to be acted upon. And that was described where we use the action date within the file. Over here, where we're able to use the action date, you're being empowered by having a report, which is the list of everything that you put into your Paper Tiger system. And you have a report where you can manage the files and figure out where they should be located. That's also helpful in a workspace where 3 or 4 people have access to files, but no one wants to throw them out because they want everyone's input. The file clean out report allows you to pass around the information of what's in those file drawers by giving others who can give input on what to do with files the ease of referring to a report instead of having to bring everybody in on a Saturday and go through all the files. So it really helps you in that respect. So these, let's see, do we have any more questions that have come in? I've answered everything that's on my list here from what people registered.
Yes. Can you demonstrate how to increase the item number of a location?
Absolutely. Okay, so say, for instance, you were in your location in the action drawer, and you've used all 30 drawers. Okay, you've used all 30 spaces. You go into the location screen, and this is a list of all your locations, and you go in and you edit it, and you increase the slots to 30. So now it says you have 30 capacity of files. Say, for instance, in your reference files, 200 is going to be way too few. And you realize you go in and put in 1,000. Go ahead and save the changes. And now you have it. On the online version with the Paper Tiger, actually with both systems, whether it's a desktop or the online, it's limitless to what the capacity is within your locations. I want to caution you, though, that if you're using the desktop version, you are using up space on your computer if you have 1,000 files and you have 900 empty. Especially in a network environment where multiple users are using the desktop version, it does take up space. So you want to use that wisely and be mindful about what capacities you're indicating when you set up those locations. Now, as I just mentioned that, did you know that if you have multiple people who want to use or refer to your files, you can purchase a network version of the Paper Tiger. With the network version, you have permissions of what file areas, locations that people can see, yet you can open it up so that everyone can see your files and know how to find them if you're not at your office. Another great trick to how to empower your employees, your staff, or your coworkers on how to work with all the files that you have. Well, we're coming down towards the end here. Looks like we have no other questions. So thank you all for participating in our webinar today. And we have some closing announcements here from Janet. And I look forward to hearing from all of you with your free 30-minute consultation. And again, if you are to email me now and want to sign up for my coaching program, you will receive 2 free copies of one copy each of both of my books. So thank you all for being here today, and I look forward to talking to you. Thanks, Janet.
Great job, Ann. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, contact Ann as soon as possible to take her up on her special that she's offering for a limited time. Again, she will give you 30 free minutes, and Ann can tell you what she can do for you in that 30 minutes and even help you out with getting started with Paper Tiger with a quick overview. If you're ready to get organized and have Ann help you create a system customized just for you, call or email her to get on her schedule for her special offer of $297 for a month of hour-long calls each week and unlimited quick emails during that month. So you will be surprised how productive that you'll be in just that manner of time. Again, you can contact Ann at amcgurty@strategizeandorganize.com or phone her at 303-881-0174. And again, her website address is www.strategizeandorganize.com. I have pasted her information into the chat section, and I will do that again before the end of the call. And again, sign up today for her special, and you'll get a free copy of both of her books. And I have read them. You'll be glad that you did. We want to thank you again for attending today's webinar. We know that your time is precious, and we appreciate you spending it with us. We do plan to post the recording on our website so that you can refer back to it whenever you need to. And please feel free to give us any of your feedback by emailing us at sales, that's SALES, @thepapertiger.com.